Good evening, Nilushika. And Shakira.
Good evening, madam.
Good evening.
Good evening, madam.
So, when I missed this presentation, that's the time to discuss also. It also regarding comparative education. Friends, you will yes. This is, shall we start or on? Good evening. We'll start. Comparative education. Already we have done the second lecture. This is second, right? So the importance of the comparative education is there, right? So you all will get the short type questions also now, right? For that, you need this knowledge. We are learning quality of people under this subject, their values.
Madam, you're muted.
All right, okay. The thing is, internet connection, something wrong with, right? Uh, so can you hear me now?
Yes, madam.
Uh, right. So under this subject, we are going to learn not only the education system, quality of the people, right? This is as a result of the education system, right? Education based on values, culture, beliefs of their own country, right? So we are going to learn that. And access to suitable and quality education in different environments. So we have to think why education system is different in different kind of different. What are the special differences we can see in other countries? Which country's education is the best? Why, right? That type of thing we are learning under this subject. And specific international educational programs. Specific international educational problems, right? So we are facing a lot of educational problems in Sri Lanka, right? Like maybe the equality in education, because everyone is not get educational opportunities, especially when we are thinking about our this uh, university admissions, right? So, and infrastructure of schools, disparities among schools, teachers, right? So, trained teachers, non-trained teachers, so many problems we are facing. So, what the international educational problems, right? Even that, so we are thinking of our problem only, no, right? If we are going to see other countries also, right? Sometimes they might also have the same type of problem, right? So then we can think, right? Almost all the countries are having, right? So some countries, some African countries facing lot of problems in education, right? So it is a field, this comparative education is a field of study dealing with comparison of curriculum, educational theory and practice. Do you understand what is educational theory and practice? Curriculum theory and practice, educational theory and practice, right? Under this program, right? Even maybe in the BED TESL, or PGDE, right? Anyway, now you are learning professional subjects. And this is also one professional subject. Professional subject means, right, this subject you are not going to teach in your school, right? So as these TESOL students, you are going to teach English. But sometimes you might think, why then why we are learning this comparative education? Right? So this knowledge of comparative education will give some strength to your efficient teaching, right? You will understand what is going on in the globalized world and what we have to do, where we are, right? So without that thing, we can't go forward, right? So practicing in different countries broaden and deepen understanding of educational problems beyond the boundaries of one's own country, right? So that's what now in the 21st century skills, right? Under the 21st century, teachers have to have 16 skills, and also they are expecting 21st century teachers have to explore more, right? So they have to think out of the box. So the study of comparative education allows the person involved to have better understanding of the system education outside their own country, right? So we are learning our system also. At the same time, we are learning other education system of other countries, so we can compare, right? So that's what this name is, comparative education. So you first of all, you have to understand comparative education, that name, meaning, and why we are learning. So the objective of comparative education to describe education systems, processes, or outcomes. So education system, because educators and later you will be involving in preparing this syllabus, curriculum, right? At that time, you need this knowledge, right? To assist in the development of educational institution and practice. How the schools are going on, right? What type of structure they are having, what type of infrastructure they are having in other countries, right? So we can compare our country similar to one developing country, because if we are going to compare with the developed country, there must be a huge gap between those countries. So think of America, UK, right? That school, Canada, New Zealand, and in that country, if we are comparing, so in New Zealand, right? So my niece uh, is there, right? They're living, and so they are in interior side. So in that school, right? Uh, Very few children, because there's no people that side. It's a farm, and you know, my niece is a veterinary surgeon, so he's working in a farm. So farm area is very interior. So that side, so no people, no. So schools also having few a number of students, right? Yeah, but the method of teaching and things are very different, right? So they are doing lot of extracurricular activities, right? And they are having lot of competitions among children, right? They are involving parents also, right? So in that way, the way of teaching is different. So that's what we are going to learn, right? So and if we are going to compare with the developing country, okay, right? So we can compare easily. To highlight the relationship between education and society. So the society will reflect the education system, right? As Asian country, right, we are giving more priority for our traditions, right? So some schools, right, they are uh, emphasize traditions. The school itself having their own traditions, right? And they are very strict about that. The children have to follow the tradition, right? So the establish generalized statements about education that are valid more than one country. So sometimes we can happy, right? Our country system also good, right? When we are comparing to developing country. So sometimes we feel bad because we don't have that infrastructure, right? To help the current generation understand the educational system nowadays concerning the past. Actually you have to think, like earlier we had Gurukula system. So can we have that system now, right? So after that, schools developed, right? And now I think in Sri Lanka, more than 10,000 schools, right? And more than 1.5 million teachers are working in all over the country, right? And graduates teachers are there, A-level trained teachers, right? So post qualified teachers, right? Earlier, the PhD holders are very few in teachers, among teachers, but now the numbers are increasing, right? Then and there, as teachers, right, you have to read the central bank report, how the teacher community is progressing, right? and to help the current generation understand the educational system, right? So we have to compare the education system in the past, present, and what type of education system we need in the future. In that way, the children have to think, and the teachers also. Right? So the questions being answered. What are they doing differently? When we are learning other countries' education system, so we have to ask this question: what are they doing differently? So what are they doing the same? Similarities and differences. Why are they the way they are? Right. So why they are having that difference? Why are we the way we are? Right. Why we are having this type of education system? Right? And what can we do differently to be on par with them? So, if we are comparing only, we are thinking of our progress. How can we be par with them, right? So, we have to reach their standard also, right? Because now we are in the globalized society. Our children are going to migrate somewhere for higher education, so that children have to survive in that new environment, right? So our education have to give the basic education for them, right? So according to that only they are going to build up the continuous knowledge, right? So these are the questions being answered when we are learning this comparative education. So if, last week we learned about Japan, India, a little, right? So what they are doing differently, right? So we are comparing with our education system, right? The structure is different, right? So what are they doing the same, right? Some subjects are similar to us, and they are starting the primary in grade 6, not grade 6, age 6, right? So there are similarities and differences. Why are they where they are? So why that country is having that type of thing, and why we are having? So our country is different from that country. So how can we uh, compete compete with that country? In that way, we have to think. Study of the interplay of different disciplines. So these are the common subjects, right? But country to country, it can be differ, right? History, philosophy, sociology, anthropology, right? We don't have this anthropology subject, but few countries are having. Economics, geography, and psychology also we are not having in schools. Statistics, literature, political science, international relations. So international relations also a new subject. I don't know whether we are having this subject in A-level stream, right? International relations. So study of the interplay of different disciplines. So different subjects can be different in other countries, right? They are preparing, every country is preparing their own curriculum. There are curriculum developers, right? And they are also thinking of the past, comparing with past, present, and future, right? So the comparative study of similarity and differences, this is what we are doing under comparative education. What is the similarity we have, we can see, and what is the differences, right? So the differences means if the other country is having a good thing, right? So we also can think of having that in our country. So evaluation of education system, what we are doing is when we are comparing, we are evaluating, right? Evaluative study. how many grades they are, and in Japan, up to 20 grades, right? Continuously, their system, this reflecting up to PhD, right? So, in young age, they are becoming PhD holders. So, our Sri Lankan context, it's different, right? Our students are graduating only in after 24, 25 years. Sometimes they are studying up to 28 years in the university, right? So that type of thing, similarity and differences. So we are evaluating quality of life, quality of people, right? How the living standard of the people, what is the attitude of the people, right? How they are living together, right? And are they peacefully living? Right? So those things we are comparing. Their values, what are the values they are following, right? Culture. So are they giving priority for culture, beliefs, and practices as a result of educational system? So education means we are preparing people for community. So we have to have the objective, how we are going to prepare, what type of people we need for the society, right? So for that only we are learning this subject. So every day, if the past things have to be changed to future, so in between the present situation is there. So what have to be changed, right? We have to decide as teachers. Access to suitable and quality education in different environments. Access to suitable and quality education, right? So, can anyone explain what is suitable and quality education? Right, so think of the environment in Sri Lanka. Right, we have international schools, and among international schools, there are a lot of difference are there. So there are some schools following British system, Edexcel, Cambridge syllabuses, and some international schools are following local syllabuses, and some schools are doing only English medium. So different type of schools are there, right? Some schools are the following the foreign system, right? But state schools, of course, uh, so they have to follow the same syllabus, same textbook, and they have to sit for the same examination, right? So why they have the common exam for children, right? To maintain the standards, right? But when they are thinking of maintaining standard, they have to face a lot of issues, right? Especially urban and rural, and disparities amongst schools, infrastructure, facilities, right? The teachers, quality teachers availability. So, but anyway, they are not considering all those things, but everyone have to sit for the common examination, right? So we have to think in even in other countries, is there are they are following the same system, right? So the other countries also having this problem, international educational problem, right? So now, of course, we have to think internationally, right? Not on if nationally means we are inside the box, right? So a comprehensive education of educational system and processes as a basis to develop more efficient educational instruction and practices in the Philippines, with emphasis on the relevance between the academic structure and the current shape of society. right? So these changes sometimes made the countries different, right? So according to their own curriculum and syllabuses and the subjects, sometimes now they are in the good position, right? And uses of comparative education. Let's please read this uses. So if a question is there, what is the benefit of comparative education? So what is the importance of comparative education? So what is the use of comparative education for teachers, right? So these things you can uh, use to write the answer, right? So when you learn comparative education subject, right? So if you all are interested in comparative education, you have to read more, right? So if you are reading about other countries, right? What is going on there? What are the subjects they are doing? How is the university education? How many graduates are this every year they are producing, right? And the percentage of higher education and how many students are completing up to the basic education. So that if you're reading and comparing, it will be an interesting area, right? So this comparative education will give more knowledge on education system, quality of life, and what other countries are doing, subjects, right? More understanding by reading and the other countries, by learning other countries' education, we will get more understanding about our education, right? So, because when we are in Sri Lanka, National Institute of Education is preparing curriculum. So, when they are preparing curriculum developers refer most of the important countries' syllabus, and then only they are preparing. Right? So it shows that we are interconnected with other countries. Right? So more understanding, more comparative readiness. Right? So if while we are going through other countries' life standard, quality of people, and the subjects, right? We are also having giving we are getting an insight. This type of things are suitable to our countries also, right? More comparative readiness, more information, and more borrowing, more reform, right? So the way they are presenting, right, different in different countries. So that is also we need, right? Through YouTube, we can see how other countries are teaching, what type of students are there, how the student they are, how they are grabbing the students' attention, right? And what is the innovation they are doing, right? So many subjects are similar in almost all of the countries, core subjects. So how they are teaching, how we are teaching, what is the difference between those two? Right? If we are using that method, what will happen? You have to experience that, experiment that, right? So the more borrowing, right? That is not a issue, right? We can borrow the good things. More reform, right? So when we are reading and going through other countries' education system, so we hope to do a lot of changes in our education system. That is what we call reform. Better leadership and universal theories, right? So we are going to use universal theories. What are the theories they are using? Whether it is suitable to us, right? And enrichment of education. So we are updating our education system, right? Discovering differences. The global view, we are thinking globally. Humanitarian ideals and reliable reaction. So these are the use of comparative education, right? So maybe when you are learning any subject, right? Maybe psychology, maybe philosophy. So what are the other subjects you are learning under professional subject? Yes, Nilushika, Disna, what are the other professional subject you have in this program? I saw in the timetable.
Madam, we have educational psychology,
Uh,
then educational sociology, curriculum
mm,
theory and practice,
mm,
comparative education,
mm,
educational guidance and counseling,
mm,
educational philosophy, educational measurement and evaluation,
mm.
educational technology, and action research.
Okay. So those are the things in common, right, in B.Ed program. In our campus also,
And
whatever you.
also we are learning, madam, uh, also we are learning teaching English as a second language.
Mm. Yeah, teaching methods you are learning,
They are
right?
special subjects.
Right. So general teaching methods, special teaching methods, especially you are English teachers. So what is the special methods you can use to teach English? In that way you are learning, right? So
Yes.
that's what enrichment of education, right? So when we are preparing our programs, right, especially B.Ed, Yola in TESOL, and in our campus honors degree program in IT, science, physics, biological sciences, physical sciences, and general, right? So when we are preparing curriculum, definitely we are referring other countries' program list. What are the subjects they are offering? How many credits, right? For each subject, how many credits we have to offer? And even we have Sri Lankan framework, right? SLQF. So according to that only, we have to prepare our programs because it's a benchmark, right, for Sri Lankan programs to maintain the same standard, right? B.Ed means everywhere that standard should be there, right? So that's what we are always comparing. Without compare, we can't go forward. Just think of our life, right? So when we are comparing, right, we have to do something, right? We have to do the masters, and even now you all are um, doing this subject to go forward, right? So you also wanted to be a teacher educator. So comparing you with others, right? So why should I, right? And mostly teachers, they like to wear their cloaks in the prize giving, right? So all the others are wearing clothes, and if you're not wearing clothes, it shows that you don't have a degree. So it's um, a huge feeling for teachers, right? Most of our students also told the same, right? And they are requesting if the degree is completed, right, up to convocation, up to completing convocation, you can't wear cloak now, right? So sometimes they will request, right? Now we are going to have the prize giving, so can we wear the cloak, right? So we have to give the permission, the university, right? So in that way, so compare life also like that. Otherwise, we will be the same, right? We are not going to progress anymore. The comparing is important, right? Even our students, right? Parents comparing the results, compare the marks, right? So by there are negative things also there, positive things also there, because we are giving more uh, stress, right? Giving more stress to the students by comparing marks, right? But in the foreign countries, they are not comparing because they are not giving grades, and they will get the grades, but not positions, right? So they are not bothered about it, but they will have their own progress report because they have to know where they are, right? In each subject, whether they have a good, they scored a good marks, right, or lower marks. So if it is lower, they have to work more. In that way, they are thinking. But in our Sri Lankan context, the parents are asking, right, who got the highest mark, and so in so every parent, so they are enthusiastic parents, right? Every parent wants their children to be good in studies. So that is also needed for a country, right? Parents' interest. If the parents are not interested, children will not learn, right? So comparing where, so in our life, the comparing is there, right? Even weddings, they are comparing. Though that family had their wedding in this hotel, the famous hotel. So we are also thinking, right? We also must have that same standard, comparing, right? So everything no need to compare, right? According to our standard, if we are comparing, we can live peacefully, right? Right. So now, just a question, right? Why you all are learning that much of subject, right? After learning psychology, uh, so what is the change you can see in the students? Otherwise, you're teaching. What is the change you can feel in your teaching?
Madam, there are different types of children in our classes. So
Mm-hmm.
if we have a good now sometimes as an example, uh,
Mm,
think in a classroom sometimes there are 20 or 25 students. Now when we
mm,
teach, we can see some children do not pay attention, some children
mm.
do not attend to the lesson, some works well, some do not. So if we have learned psychology type something like that, then we can really understand what is why this child is behaving like this. But if we don't know anything about that, so we will force that child to work with the others. But if we have a good knowledge about that side also, we can actually understand there is something wrong with that child. Then we can do the necessary things for that child. If we have a good education about that, if we have learned something about that.
Yeah, you're correct, right? And
We can
even we can.
identify their situations and their
Yeah. Yes,
behavior,
listen.
behavior correctly.
Mm.
We
Yeah,
can
right.
identify them.
So
Yes.
that means behavior individually, children are different, their behavior is different, and why they are behaving in this way, right? So every parent is sending their children to school to learn something, right? So why some students learn well and some are average and some are low, so very slow, right? And even you're teaching one subject in for whole so the for whole class, right? But they are scoring different marks. Why? Right? One lesson you're teaching for if, the members, the classroom, right? But when you're evaluating them by giving an exam, so they are scoring different marks. It shows the children have individual differences and interest, right? They are learning ability, right? Those things are different. So if you learn this psychology subject only, you can understand the child as you say. Otherwise, we will punish them, right? And we will brand them, right? So for a teacher, it is essential. And can I have something about philosophy? Why you all are learning philosophy? Guidance and counseling? And we have to compare the subjects also. Why different subjects? What for? There is a purpose, right? There's a purpose for having those subjects, no? What for philosophy and what for guidance and counseling? Those subjects are very important subjects, right? So teachers are guiding the children, right? You're responsible for your children, students, right? So if they have any kind of issues, problems, right? Uh,
Sometimes they have mental disorders like hyperactive students. They are
mm,
yes.
yeah. So nowadays we have inclusive education. So definitely all the children will be there in the class. So few uh, special need children also, differently able children. We have to accommodate them also, right? So the teacher's job is now, it's very complex because you can't leave those children and teach the other students, right? You have to take care of them also. And under philosophy, you all are learning about education, right? What is education? Um, Actually, what we are teaching in education is came from philosophy, right? So under philosophy, everything was stated by philosophers. How a teacher have to behave, how we have to prepare from the program, syllabuses, what are the subjects we have to have, and how to teach, what is the role of the teacher, what is the role of the student, right? And the importance of curriculum, so co-curricular activities, everything is there in the uh, philosophy, right? So whatever they said, right, the same thing we are representing in our education, right? According to that only we are preparing, right? Without knowing philosophy, you can't prepare curriculum. And also guidance and counseling, right? Nowadays, children are with lot of problems, right? Think of primary students, what type of problem they have. As teachers, can I have few problems?
Sometimes, madam, they have family problems.
Yes, family problems. What type of?
Sometimes they are hyperactive children.
Hmm,
Hyperactive children.
hmm. Yes, Disna, what is your idea? Yes,
Madam, today there is a signal error, madam. That is why I didn't answer anything.
uh, yeah, that's it.
I'm not.
Otherwise, you will join or you will ask a lot of questions. That's what I.
Yes, yes, madam. Today is there is signal error. I am not in my house today. That is
Uh,
why, madam.
right. Okay. So that's what so day by day the number of students are decreasing. Don't know whether they are in listening to us or joining, right? But so as teachers, right? You're always emphasizing students to be in the class and be attentive, right? So we are also expecting the same.
Sometimes, madam, sometimes there are auditory learners, some are visual learners.
Yeah, right. So, special need children, we have to learn under guidance and counseling, right? The primary children,
Yes.
especially, they need parents' attention because of the economical aspects, right? The parents sometimes move to other countries to do work. So the students are, the children are alone with sometimes grandparents, right, or in the boarding, right? So there is a lacking in them, right? So if they it must be because of that sometimes they are not attentive in the class, right? So the teacher have to understand and make them aware, right? Why parents migrate and what for, right? So you have to speak with the students. You have to find out what is the problem behind. Some children are alone. They are not mingled with anybody and just thinking, dreaming, right? So you have to understand those children, right? So, and comparative education also to make our understanding more clearly about what is happening in the education all over the world, right? So education is a common thing in everywhere. Every country is giving more priority for education. There are schools, there are teachers, right? Students, universities, right? So we can, so ranking, we are giving ranking now for universities. Why they are giving ranking? Why we are talking about Cambridge University and Harvard University, right? Number one, number two university. So their infrastructure, quality of subjects, standards, quality of staff, right? And what are the recreation things they have, and how they are treating the students, right? So library. So the ranking means there are a lot of criteria they are going on, right? So even that to give rank, they are comparing the universities, right? Maybe programs, right? Students' achievement and researchers published by the lecturers as well as students. So they are comparing, right? Uh, right. And important reason for studying comparative education. I think now you will understand more because that's what I asked those questions. To assist in the understanding of one's educational institution as well as educational practices. What type of education institution is that, right? Especially schools. And in Sri Lanka, we have 1AB, Type 2, Type 3 schools, national schools. Now, earlier, they had different names, right? Um, so some schools are with A-level science stream, and type 2 schools have only up to an O level. Type 3 is having primary schools, right? So that type of things, educational institutions as well as educational practices, but how they are teaching. To assist in the understanding of the factors that are responsible for various educational changes. So they are doing the reforms, whether they are implementing that reforms, right? So according to the reforms, the curriculum have to change, syllabus have to change, teaching methodology have to change. They have to train the teachers, right? Print the new textbook, right? So many things are there. To educate the students and teachers on the procedure through which educational changes occur, right? So it should be parallelly going to hand in hand, right? To contribute not only to the educational development of the society, but also to the general development of the society, right? So why we are making these changes? To develop our society, to serve as an academic discipline. So this is a academic discipline, right? Comparative education. And to assist in solving one's educational problems, right? So if there are any problems, if the subject is not suitable, if the syllabus is not appropriate, right? They have to make some changes. So assist solving one's educational problems, to open one's eyes to the educational philosophies, um, theory and practices of other countries, right? So when we are comparing and learning only, we will get this knowledge. To assist both students and teachers of discipline in gathering reliable information concerning educational system, right? So reliable information, right? Now, of course, internet is available. You can get reliable information from so many sources, right? To assist both students and teachers of discipline in gathering reliable information concerning educational system, right? It's not repeat. To contribute to the formulation of a country's education system, right? So that's where without other countries' educational information, we can't prepare our own educational system because we are in the globalized society. We have to think of the national, international standards, right? Right. So, rationale to study and compare education, right? So, broaden one's perspective and sharpen one's focus. If I think after learning this subject, you'll be able to feel these things. Broaden one's perspective and sharpens one's focus. Always you're thinking, you will refer, right, to the other countries also. Understand issues from different perspective in different contexts, cultural context, social, political. Every country have different social aspects, cultural aspects, and political aspects, right? So our political system is something different. Indian political system is different. American political system is different, right? So that also have to be compared, right? Why they have that type of political system? Is that good, right? So can make changes in our political system also? In that way, we have to think. So need to understand the theoretical and philosophical assumption of each country. So what we need, what type of education is suitable for us? What are the subjects we have to have, right? In that way, we are thinking after learning comparative education. Can then begin to understand each country's educational practices, right? So each and every country is thinking in this way to prepare their own education system. So in the international context, right, what is comparative education? Draws on multiple disciplines: sociology, political science, psychology, anthropology. So examining the role of education plays the individual and national development. examine how societal values influence attitudes about how we educate. So these are, earlier we learned about Sri Lankan context, right? These things are for different countries' context about comparative education, right? So when I start the first lesson, I saw, I saw the display some pictures, right, about African countries and developed countries, how the technology is using, how the African children, they don't have even proper this blackboard, right, and no classroom, right? So we have to compare, right? And sometimes if we are compared to that type of this standard, right? So we have to be happy. We have something, right? And what is the purpose of education? Is education a benevolent agent of change, right? So behavioral change is the purpose of education. Is education a mirror of the larger society, manifesting through its structure, curriculum, and pedagogy inherent inequalities, right? So mirror. So mirror is reflecting our image, right? And education will reflect the country's the standard, quality, and everything, right? Do educational practices maintain social status quo? So definitely, it will maintain social status. Why we are giving we are learning Finland because that the education system is good. So it is not burden, flexible, but the children are doing very well. So how, right? Why can't we also do the follow that? In that way, we are thinking, right? And education and culture. Education plays an important role in national progress and globalization. Comparative education provides an opportunity to study foreign cultures and their educational systems. Comparative education allows you to examine appraise your own culture and educational system, analyze home culture systems, and compare with others. And comparative education as a field, right? Comparative education is a field, not a discipline. Academic discipline, you can say. Discipline dedicated to specific set of rules and standards, right? So they have this the rules and standards, how to prepare the curriculum, what are the things you have to consider, how to do the reforms, right? There are rules and regulations. And field draws on various disciplines to understand the complexity. Even when we are going through the structures, we saw some complexity, right? We are calling as primary, and other countries using elementary, and the period of primary is different from each country. So their school also starting. We are starting in January, but they are starting in September, right? There are so many differences. So according to their facility, right, they are starting the school in different, because we don't have spring, autumn, winter, and that type of different seasons, but they have, right? So according to that, they will have the different timetable. Helps educators decide what issues are important, but factors should be considered to improve education. So the historical stages of development, right? Even in Sri Lanka, we have to think of this. Travelers' tales, observation of cultural practices and customs, right? What they what are the oldest education way we had, right? Uh, so educational borrowing 19th century, observation of foreign school systems, identify useful techniques and practices. So we are introducing information technology because all the others countries are introduced, and also without technology we can't survive in the globalized world, right? So nowadays, without laptop, without smartphone, it's very difficult, right, to um, for knowledge level, right? And period of international cooperation. So systematic scientific study. So 19th century and 20th century. So what is the difference between 19th century and 20th century? So the same thing what we have done in 19th century cannot be continue in the 20th century. We have to make some changes according to the situation, right? So here in the 20th century, examine forces shaping foreign educational system, use quantitative methods to explain education. So period of international cooperation, necessary for world harmony, improve the quality of citizens' life. Right. So earlier in Sri Lanka also, when they have the English medium in the longer period before, they had this harmony among people, right? So now English is a medium of instruction, right? So so we can learn everything uh, through using internet, right? And English language. So actually we are now global citizens, right? So we can have access to any country within a seconds, right? So the perspectives interpretive focuses on concept and theories, explain educational phenomena by considering cultural, philosophical, and historical context. Examining differing value position, develop own values about education, right? So you can see the differences, right? Quality of the people, living standard of the people, dressing, eating food, right? Everything is changing according to the education. When we are learning, right, we will follow the good things, right? So if we know the nutritions and the food, we will change our menus, right? So that is the behavioral change we have to have. Critical, develop ability to question contradiction and inconsistencies in education beliefs, policies, and practices. So you all are critically thinking whether this is good, this is bad, what we can change, right? Critically thinking. And comparative perspective taking, expand understanding beyond own localized perspective, cross-cultural investigation, make sense out of the new or unknown, comparing to own frame or reference, multiple interpretation of the issues, because one problem differently handled in different countries, right? So multiple interpretation of the same issue, because according to their standard, quality, their need, the interpretation will be different. Avoid dichotomous thinking, widen conceptual lenses, develop the critical thinking skills of a global citizen. Systematic critique and reflection must accompany curiosity, right? So these things are globally international thinking of comparative education. And value of comparative education. So what is the value, right? Uh, alerts students to enduring social questions, helps teachers function as citizens of the countries as well as citizens of a global society, encourage a spirit of exploration transcending local boundaries. So when you all are learning comparative education only, you will feel not we are thinking of only Sri Lanka, or we have to think of other countries also, right? So now we are in the global society, so we are global citizens. So according to that, we have to think. Encourage a spirit of exploration transcending local boundaries, right? So we have to think out of the box, not only Sri Lankan context, right? Other countries context also. Awareness that educators in different parts of the world are wrestling with similar issues. So under education, each country is facing similar issues, but the solving side is different in each country, right? And view education from multiple perspectives, contribute to social change and educational process, foster international understanding, opportunity for global cooperation and critique, right? So, you'd have noticed, right? So the Olympic will conduct in different countries. So you can see the cultural program of that country will be highlighted there. So it shows that countries having different culture, right? Different religion. So that is also important, right? We can compare the identity of each people, dressing, right? So they are giving priority for red Indians means we can think of that dress, right? Uh, Chinese means kimono, right? So they have their values, right? Right. So this presentation is about comparative education, what we are learning, why we have to learn, what is the importance of comparative education, and what are the benefits you can have by learning this subject, right? So in that way, uh, we learn. So the current problems of education in developing countries. So we are in the developing country. So we are going to see the so 2.2. I did it because you must know, you have to understand the basic things of comparative education. Right now, you are going to learn the current problems, what we have in developing countries, right? Not developed countries. And because Sri Lanka is under developing countries, so we have to think of what is happening in developing countries, right? Then only we can go up to the developed countries, right? Can you see the slide?
Yes, madam.
Uh, so the uh, so comparative education, and we are thinking of education systems, quality of people, and quality of teachers, quality of curriculum, quality of syllabus. Why? Right?
Madam, can you please show me the previous slide for a while?
Latest one.
Yes, topic. Yes. Current problems. Okay, madam. Thank you.
Mm. So everything is based on the development, right? Education is highly related to development. If they have a good education, the country will develop better. If the children are learning best, if we have a knowledge society, quality of our country will be high, right? So development refers to the process of improvement and growth in various aspects of society, including economic, social, political, and environmental dimension. So development means not only education development. If you educate, develop education, these things also parallelly develop. Various society will develop, economically we will be sound, social aspects will be good, politically we will be leading, right? And environmental dimension, we are going to think about our environment, we will protect our environment. The children, when we are giving the good education, definitely the children will be practicing, right? So environmental factor. So they will not pollute the water, land, air, right? And they know the consequences if they do that, what will happen, disasters, right? So recent Dipa flood, right? So why we got that seriously, right? Use of plastic throwing to the water, right? Blocked. So that's what the, the water is spreading all over, right? So environmental aspects. It involves advancing living standards, enhancing well-being, increasing access to resources, and fostering sustainable progress for individuals and communities, right? So the basic expectation of the education is the development of our country. If our people are educated, right, so they can do their work in a this productive way, that productiveness will give a prosperous economical status for our country, right? So yeah, that's what every country is giving more priority for education, because through education only we can achieve everything. So just read key aspects of development. In what area we have to think of our development. Now, we learn about the comparative education, important and everything, right? So education is for development of our country. What are the aspects, key aspects? Just read this. So key aspects, right? So this is what the lack in online education. We can't see your faces, facial expressions, and how many are listening, attending, attentive, right? Uh, so actually, how many students are in your group? Uh, it is also not. But in a class means y'all will be like a family. Everyone will friendly with everyone, helping everyone, right? But in the online education, they are alone, no, right? And if they are willing to do, actually, if we can do some group activity or something, it's good, right? To discuss. So the key aspects. First one, economic development, no, right? Without economy, we can't do anything in our country, right? So economic development, the improvement of economic conditions, such as increasing income level, uh, increasing income levels, employment opportunities, and industrial growth, right? So employment opportunity is very important, right? So if children are educated, they are skillful, productive, right? So the employment opportunities will be waiting for them. And social development. So economic development, right? Next, the economic development is for society, right? Social development. Enhancing the quality of life for people through better education, healthcare, gender equality, and social justice. So society, so social development means human development, right? People are in the society. So how female and male both are developing, right? Still in some countries, there is a disparity between uh, female and male, right? So male dominance are there in some countries, right? But in Sri Lanka, I think it's not there because if anyone can do anything. They are not uh, this considering the gender disparities, right? So social development, so enhancing quality of life. If you are educated well, you will get a good job and you will get a good salary, right? And you can buy a car, you can buy a house, right? Your quality of life will be, you can enhance, right? Health care, right? So healthcare is also important. No hospitals. Um, the we have state hospitals, right? Free of charge, right? Um, so a lot of countries don't have free medical facilities, but we have, right? Parallelly, we are having private um, practices also, right? So gender equality and social justice. Social justice means everyone, every single person is having the same type of opportunities and rights, right? Social justice. So everyone have to consider in the same way. And political development, strengthening democratic institution, promoting good governance, human rights, and political stability. So political side is also important. If the political is not stable, that is also there. So if they are having continuous war for decades, right? They have to lose money, human resource, everything, peaceful life, education, right? Everything is not possible. So political development, environmental development, ensuring sustainable use of natural resources, preserving ecosystem and tackling issues like climate change. So environmental development, how to develop our environment, right? So maybe we have to keep our trees, right? Not 20% forest have to be there, right? For the good environment, the air environment. And water, how we have to preserve our water, natural uh, forest, right? So those
Resource to
things.
protect the futures.
Yes. So as teachers, as students, right? So teachers, you have to make aware the students to think of our environment, right? Not to pollute, not to the social, especially social responsibility, right? So Sri Lanka means every Sri Lankan citizens owned, right? So they can use and their own property, right? So they have to have the social responsibility. And ultimately, development aims to create more equitable, prosperous, and sustainable future for all, right? So if the country is developed, our quality of life will be enhanced, right? So knowledge society will be producing. So everything will be up. And educational problems, right? Uh, so in multifaceted and the interconnected, some of the main points. So educational problems, that is the main area we are considering in developing countries, right? So what is the educational problems we are facing? First one, lack of access to education. This is our, not only our developing countries are facing this, lack of access to education. Many children, particularly in rural, remote areas, do not have access to quality education due to a lack of schools, transportation, or infrastructure. Right? So, some schools didn't develop, right? Even the same building, right? Uh, Same infrastructure even after 50, 60 years. So that means there's no change, right? So lack of access to education because population is increasing. So according to increase in the population, we have to have more schools, but limited number of schools we have. So especially in some area, uh, so only Sinhala schools are available. There's no Tamil schools, but the Tamil people are there. But if there's no school, then the Tamil people also sending the children to the Sinhala medium schools. So no access, right? There's no Tamil school close by. So they have to attend Sinhala medium schools. So many children, particularly in rural remote areas, right, they can't do science subjects. There's no science stream in schools. So they have to go to city or urban. Sometimes those rural people, they are very poor sometimes and they are not affordable to send their children to that type of schools, right? A few children only attending like that. All the others will select whatever they have in the rural schools. So that's what mostly we are producing lot of arts graduates. Art subjects are available in rural areas. And poor quality education. Even when schools are available, the quality of education often suffers from outdated curricula, insufficient teaching materials, overcrowded classrooms, and unqualified teachers. So these type of problems are common to developing countries, not only us, right? Developing countries. So outdated curricula, because after 8 years only we are changing, insufficient teaching materials, overcrowded classrooms, right? Um, so we are thinking that rural schools having lot of children, but it is not, right? So in some area, we can't find students in schools, right? Very few number of students, more than 15, right? 16 like that in a class. And the other problem the rural schools are finding, those who are doing that means children got through with scholarships, right? They are moving to some other schools. So they are losing that part in the school. So the rural areas are remaining uh, the same, right? Without any improvement. So teacher shortage, there is so often a shortage of quality teachers, particularly in rural areas. Low salaries and difficult working conditions contribute to teacher retention issues. So think of our country, right? If they are giving appointment in rural areas, uh, they don't like to go to rural areas because they have to face a lot of issues by in transportation and living, boarding and things, facilities, right? That type of things. So the retention, they will leave the job and find another job. Gender inequality. In many developing countries, girls face more barriers to education than boys, including cultural norms, early marriage, and the prioritization of boys' education, the girls, right? So this is now little bit decreasing, right? Especially in our country, of course, not that gender inequality is not there, right? Uh, but in some countries, even in India, Pakistan, right, they have these differences. They don't want to send the girls to school, girls to higher educations. They're not sending for sports or other recreation activities, right? So those things are there in few countries. So families in developing countries often cannot afford school fees, uniforms, or other educational expenses, which prevents children from attending schools or completing their education. Uh, that's what, right? Dr. W. Kannangara decide for free education, right? Because in the rural area, if it is if students have to pay fees, right? Sometimes they are not afford to pay fees, so they can't go to school. So to avoid that, only Dr. W. Kannagara introduced the free education. So conflict and instability, political instability, war and conflict disrupt education system, displacing children and limited their access to education, right? So in our country also, we had 3 decades of war, right? So the children in that area got disturbed, right? They can't go to school, they are bombing, and they have to stay in this. Uh, that means they can't stay at home, right? While bombing and shelling, right? So most of the human dead, right? The percentage, the population also decrease, and lot of issues. They don't have enough of food, right? And they can't think of education, displacing, right? So many, and at that time only most of the people they migrated to other countries, right? Uh, so conflict and high dropout rates due to factors such as poverty, lack of interest, early marriages, and need to work. Many students drop out of school before completing their education, right? So sometimes, right, in rural areas mostly, right, they marry very early and have children, and they have to, of course, they have to work for their life, right? So they are not continuing the education, right? Uh, so high dropouts rates, inadequate infrastructure. Many schools lack basic infrastructure like clean water, electricity, sanitation facilities, and safe learning environment, which hinders effective learning. Uh, so many schools lack of basic infrastructure, right? So I can remember when we went to Veerkat here, right? That um, it's a popular school, but there's no sanitary facilities, right? So temporary sanitary facilities available for children as well as teachers, right? Because at that time, I think they are repairing, right? Uh, so the lack of some schools they don't have clean water to drink, no electricity. So how can we think of information technology in that school, right? And toilet facilities, safe learning environment, which hinders effective learning, and curriculum mismatch. So these are common for developing countries. Not only we are thinking of Sri Lanka, but anyway, it's common to developing countries. Curriculum mismatch. Education systems often do not align with the needs of the job market, leaving graduates unprepared for employment or entrepreneurship. So in our country also, it's a huge problem because each and everyone expecting a job from the government. They like to work in the government sector. But private sector is expecting more skillful people, right? So our graduates and the students are facing that challenge, right? So the skillful people, they especially soft skills, hard skills, of course, your certificates, no, other than certificate, they are expecting some soft skill from you all. How you all are going to work with others, how you all are planning, and what is the commitment you have to work. Have you can you think critically, do something new, right? In that way, they are expecting. So that's what mismatching. Our education system produce unproductive students, right? So they are waiting for the job and they are not doing any entrepreneurs, right? So I think now a few youngsters they are prepared to do any work. So they are the running shops, right? And preparing food items, right? Our national items they are using, right? So that type of thing have to be. Now see the pick me. Earlier we don't have Uber Eats, right? And um, so so we can order and get any thing. They will bring to the doorstep, right? That type of service oriented things. So our people thinking, right? Only the government jobs are respected, prestige, right? They don't like to do this type of uh, entrepreneurship works, right? But in other countries, right, most of the people like to do entrepreneurship because it's um, flexible, right, and they can earn a lot. It's not limited to salary, right? If they are working very hard, they can earn a lot of money. If we are in the job, whatever we work, right, we will get the salary only. So that type of thing, we must give awareness for children. So that is what career guidance, right? Uh, and health issues, health problems including malnutrition and diseases like malaria or HIV/AIDS affect children's ability to attend school regularly and concentrate on their studies. So now, of course, they are not much caring about HIV/AIDS, right? Earlier, it was a big issue, right? Malnutrition is there, right? There's especially the rural children are uh, not healthy, right? They don't have much protein food, and especially upcountry people, they are not using much this fish. They are not eating fish and seafoods, so they are having this iodine deficiency, goiter, right? And economic issues. Addressing these challenges requires comprehensive efforts from government, NGOs, and international organizations to improve infrastructure policy and access to quality education for all. So even the Asia Development Bank is funding, World Bank is funding, right, and the UNESCO is funding to keep the quality of the education in each countries. So why they are giving funds to improve the infrastructure policy and access to quality education. Problems of participation refers to the challenges individuals or groups face when engaging in political, social, or economic processes. So the problems are in common in these areas, right? So include these issues can arise at different levels and context, including governance, community involvement, and decision making. Right, so decision making is also a very important part in the country's development. The government have to take decisions, good decisions. Every organization have to take good decisions. Schools have to have good decisions, right, for education system. So here are some key problems related to participation. Related to participation, certain groups such as minorities, women, or economically disadvantaged population may be excluded from political process due to discrimination, unequal access to resources, or systemic barriers. Right. So this is mostly common for developing countries, right? So in Brazil also, the working people, right? The rubber tappers, uh, they are the huge population, right? So they are not literate, right? Illiteracy. They didn't go to school. Disadvantaged population they are. Economically disadvantaged and excluded from political process. They can't vote, right? Illiterate people can't vote in that country. Due to discrimination, unequal access to resources, or system barriers, right? Those things also they are in the developing countries. So in early days, right, we will learn the language issues and political issues. In that, you will learn what happened in the past, right? In the early stages, what is the plight of education, right? So lack of awareness of education. Please read once, right? Then I'll explain. So lack of awareness of education. So in some countries, right? So still the illiterate people are there, especially indigenous people. Even in our country also, Vedas, right? So they are indigenous. And now, of course, they are mingled with normal people and they are learning. So lack of awareness and economic barriers, high cost or lack resources may prevent some people from participating in activities that require financial investment or time. Cultural and social norms in cultures, social norms may discourage uh, certain groups from participating. For example, patriarchal society, women might face cultural, social pressure that prevent them from taking part in decision-making process. So sometimes a male domination is there, and in some culture, they are not allowing ladies to participate in some the limited things, right? They are not allowing sometimes in the sports and the beauty contest and exposes things. Inequality and power imbalances, social and political elites often dominate decision making, making it difficult to marginalized or less powerful groups to have voice. Power imbalances can lead to decisions that do not reflect the interest of all stakeholders. So the discriminations between ethnics, right? So the powerless group. So in Brazil, these rubber tappers are powerless, right? They can't make any change. But anyway, Paulo Freire, a philosopher, he educated these adults, right, rubber tappers, 3 million people, and later they became literate and also they got the voting opportunity, right? So power balances, intimidation or fear. In some contexts, people may fear retribution or persecution for speaking out or participating in political activities. So this is common in authoritarian regimes where dissent is often suppressed. So these political issues in developing countries. And the other thing, there are a few things more, right? Lack of trust in institutions. People may be unwilling to participate in political or social process if they do not trust the institution involved. Even in our country, right? More so, they're not using the votes. People are not willing to vote, right? Sometimes in the results, you can realize, right? So 10,000 people didn't vote, right? So that means they are not interested. Corruption, inefficiency, or lack of accountability can lead to disenchantment and apathy, right? So the apathy, right? We will learn about the apathy, this South Africa issues. Earlier, they had how the political situation is there, right? So how is the education, uh, the discrimination, right? Uh, and complexity of participation process, bureaucratic hurdles, complicated procedures of Lack of transparency can discourage people from engaging in political and social process, right? So we know only our political arena, that what is happening in our country. Other countries have different ideas, and some countries they are not wasting money on propaganda, right? But in our country, they are using lot of money, and uh, they are having lot of meetings, right, continuously all over the country for each party, right? So they are uh, mm, so that type of thing will not be there in Commonwealth countries, right? It's a very simple process. Geographic barriers, people in remote or rural areas may face logistical challenges in accessing opportunities to participate, such as voting, attending meetings, or accessing resources that would enable involvement. So rural area people only facing this type of problem. That means transportation access is limited. Digital divide, with increasing reliance of digital platforms for political or social participation, those without access to the internet or digital devices face exclusion from important discussions or decisions, right? So if you all are going abroad, right, many airports, right, there's no people, right? You have to do everything with digitally, with machines, right? So everyone must have the knowledge of yeah, operating these things, right? So the digital divide is also preventing people, they are scared to use. So these barriers need to be addressed to ensure broader and more inclusive participation, leading to more equitable and representative outcomes. So we learn about the things in the developing countries. What are the issues, current issues we have, right? So Sri Lanka is also, as a developing country, we also have to face these type of issues, right? So the other thing is internal efficiency, right? This word must be new to you all. So the internal efficiency in the context of education refers to the effectiveness with which an educational system or institution uses its resources, such time, money, and human capital, to achieve desired educational outcomes, like student learning, graduation rates, and skill development. So it highlights how well an education system or school transforms inputs into outputs, minimizing waste and maximizing results. So internal efficiency with the low cost, if they can produce good graduates, that is internal efficiency. How they are going to do that? How they are going to manage the time, money, and human capital. Right, so sometimes in schools, right, few schools, excess teachers are there. More than 5, 6 excess teachers are there, because it may be a urban school, so the teachers wants to stay there. They don't want to go anywhere. So those teachers will be used to uh, work in library, right, and accounts with the principal, preparing timetable, that type of work they are doing, right? So actually, it's not the teacher's job, right? But anyway, they are not bothering about job. They wanted to be there in that school, right, for benefits. So that type of things. Um, mostly the private institutions are highly thinking about internal efficiency. They are thinking of money and the human capital and time, right? The people have to go on time and they have to work there up to the time and to achieve the goals, their targets, right? And they are recruiting skillful people, right? So it's depend on internal efficiency. Right, in most of the government institution, they are following seniority, right? So if they work for a few years, right, and they are not considering anything whether the person is working or not, right, they will give the promotion. Right, if the person is inefficient, right, so that whole department will be uh, suffering, right? So, but the private sector is not doing that, right? They are selecting the proper person. If they don't want, they will send out, right? In government sector, they can't do because they are permanent employees. In foreign countries, they are not giving permanent post, right? Mostly they are on contract, right? If they are not doing the work well, they cancel the contract, right? So even our people from Sri Lanka going abroad, right, and they will come and go back on time because if they're not on time, so they will recruit another person, right? They are not waiting for them. And student retention and completion rates, how well a school educational system retains students and ensures they complete their education within the expected time frame. Low dropout rates are indicative of high internal efficiency. Right. So, especially university, right? Uh, how many students are recruiting and are they all graduating? How many are dropping? Right. So, how many students are postponing the thing? In the state university, they can't postpone, right? So, with the medical reasons, I think they can postpone and they can join to the next intake, right? In that way, they are considered. If the student retention is more, that means that organization have internal efficiency, right? If the drop rates are high, that means there's no internal efficiency, right? And effective use of resources. This involves the optimal allocation and utilization of resources, funds, teachers, classrooms, and materials. And the principal, right, must know the talents and these so maybe that teacher is a science teacher, right? But if the teacher have different talents, right? So the principal have to make use of the talent to develop the school, right? So that's what if the principal is efficient and the principal knows how to manage the staff, right? So that school will develop fast. So use of resources, not only the environmental resource, even the human resource. Classrooms, materials, teacher performance and utilization. Internal efficiency is influenced by how well teachers are utilized in terms of their subject knowledge, teaching time, and ability to meet the educational needs of students. So this is important for teachers. Efficient teacher deployment can reduce the need of extra resources and improving learning outcomes, right? So the deployment, right? How they are giving teachers to school is deployment. So according to the qualification, according to the vacancies they have to fill, right? But most of the teachers, they don't want to go to rural areas, and they are fighting to urban sites. So that's create a big issue in deployment, right? Okay, children. So we'll continue uh, these problems in developing countries in the next class. So thank you for your participation, right? So I think we have class tomorrow also, right? So tomorrow we can complete this, right? Any questions? Right. If there's no question, we can wind up the class and we'll meet tomorrow. Good night.
Good night, madam.
Good night, madam.
Thank you,
Good
madam.
night. Okay.